All right, there's Ken.
Hello.
Hi there. All right, and everything is now live and recording. So, you know, and you're at 6:56.
Okay, thanks. Oh, Deb,
Yes,
Good
sir.
evening, Ken.
if Tyler Mayhew's supposed to come, I'm not sure if he is, but you can let him in. You know, he's going to be first up,
Oh, okay.
and
All
he
right.
can stay because it's all tree business. He can, you know.
Okay. All right.
And Christian, maybe Christian might be not coming because, but I think he is, but you know, he may be in transit or someplace where he can't come. So I don't know what, you know.
All right.
Hello.
Hello?
I've lost images, guys.
Uh,
Yeah, I can see you, Tim.
You're freezing too. Do you have a laptop?
I'm on the phone, Tim.
Right. Do you happen to have a laptop?
I do, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not on it now. I'm sitting on the front porch.
Right, I know, but I mean, maybe it would be better if you used a laptop.
But I can't do it now because I just got home.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
have time to
All
set it
right.
up.
Okay, all right. We'll do the best we can.
Thank you.
All right. So Tyler's in. I'm going to go ahead and let Tyler in.
Yeah, oh, great. Thank you. Thank you.
There we go. That's
Hey,
better.
Tyler.
Hello.
How are
How's
you?
everyone?
Good. Hey, Tyler, you're gonna be first. You have a copy of the agenda?
I do, yes.
Oh, okay. So the first thing up is gonna be the tree report, which you would give. And
Yes.
and if you could stay with us in case some of these things need to be your expertise to explain.
Sure.
Yeah. So I hope we should be out of here in 40 minutes or so. I hope.
Okay.
How are you? Good. Hey,
I'm going to mute my mic for now and just
sure,
whenever
but it's
you're.
all it's tree related for the most part.
Yeah, I saw on the agenda.
Yeah.
It looks like that's most of what you've got going
Right.
on.
And after we finish the trees, you don't have to stick around.
All right. So you're now at 7, and I'm just letting. Here comes Roberta.
So we're waiting
And-
for Peter and Christian.
Can you
Right.
see, can you see me?
Yes.
Deb?
We
Okay,
can see
very
you.
good.
Yep.
Okay,
Roberta, how you doing there? There we go. Awesome. All right. Okay. And just want to test your mic, Roberta. You're muted now. Oh, there we go. All right. Can you hear us all right, Roberta?
Here, yes, thank you.
Oh, perfect. There we are. Okay. All right, you're at 7:01. I'm gonna put the town seal back up. If you need me, I'm gonna be here. And once you get started, as you
But
requested,
we're
I'll.
waiting for Peter and
Oh,
Christian. They're
okay.
supposed to come, Peter and
Okay,
Christian.
doke. All right, you let me know when you want to
So
start.
I'm gonna wait for a minute if you don't mind.
Okay, doke. Sure thing.
If they come in later, if we start, Deb, and they come, you can just bring them in,
Yeah.
right?
You bet.
Okay.
May I also make a suggestion, President Weiscarver? To Debbie, if anyone is lost, their communications or lost, that they're not there anymore, let us know. So we know that either we need to stop the proceedings and let them catch back up or something, because I know that's happening a lot lately. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'll do my best. Sometimes I can't always see it, but I will try to let you know that. Yep.
We'll try and not let that happen.
Hey, Tim,
Yeah,
I was speaking to Christian, backyard to backyard about 3 or 4 days ago. And he told me that he was going to be traveling and
right.
might not be able to attend.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And
But he
so
said
that's a possibility, but.
He said he tried to.
Right. Thank you. But I just wanted to wait a little longer
Sure.
what's to say? Okay, well, I'm going to start. All right, good evening. Before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to say a couple things. I'd like to ask your cooperation in helping ensure an orderly meeting, that we strive not to talk over one another or to interrupt one another. I intend to run the meeting in a more formal manner, to follow the town's policy and Robert's Rules of Order. I'll recognize you by name. You'll have the floor. When you're done, on to the next person in line, and you kind of go to the end of the line and we speak in order. I want to assure you that everyone who wants to will have a chance to speak. No one who wants to speak will be denied. Ms. Deb Kelly, the town bookkeeper and finance expert, an experienced facilitator, is here to assist us and to help me make sure that everyone who wants to be recognized and heard is recognized and heard in order. I ask that we all try to keep our remarks short, within reason, and to the point, and one topic at a time. I'm going to ask Mr. Jim Jenkins to help me as well. I'll turn to him, among other things, to roll call votes and to answer questions of protocol, procedure, and law, sort of like Kevin Carden does for the town council. The last item on the agenda is a period of 10 minutes or so suggested by the town attorney, Mr. Kinsayer, where we can speak somewhat less formally, yet keep the basic format of chair recognition, giving you the floor, you speak, on to the next. After this, we adjourn. I think tonight's agenda is such that we should be reasonably able to finish the meeting in 45 minutes or so. I'd like to ask Ms. Kelly, Deb Kelly, to be the timekeeper, and that she notify us at the 45-minute point, and that if we have to limit speech by time, that she keep track of that as well. Again, everyone will be able to speak and be heard. Thank you, and let's go to work.
And just so you know, President Weiscarver, Mr. Dessauer has joined. He doesn't have his video on, so you may not be able to see, but he is in the room.
Right. Okay. All right. I call the meeting to order. The Harpers Ferry Planning Commission, July 20th. Present members, Tim Weiscarver, Roberta Mead Curry, George Owens, Ken Dill, Mr. Jim Jenkins. Attendees, Mr. Peter Dessauer and Mr. Tyler Mayhew. Facilitator, Ms. Deb Kelly.
And Ms. Roberta Mead Curry has her hand up.
Ms. Kelly.
Miss
The chair
Roberta,
recognizes Ms. Kelly. Yes.
Miss Roberta Mead Curry has her hand up.
Okay. The chair recognizes Ms. Roberta Mead Curry.
Yes, thank you, President Weiscarver. I have 3 points before we get started. It's
No,
my understanding.
excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me for interrupting. Please, 1 point at a time.
Okay. I
Yes,
will give
thank
you
you.
1 point at a time. Thank you. So first point, it's my understanding, per the last meeting of the town council, July 12th, that Mr. Dessauer is no longer a member of the planning commission because he was a mayor designee. Do we have any issue with that, and how shall we handle that?
Well, we're handling it as follows. That's correct. I listed Mr. Dessauer as an attendee. He is an attendee. He is not a voting member of the Planning Commission. There are 5 voting members of the Planning Commission, which I listed in the call to order. And the attendees are Mr. Tyler Mayhew and Mr. Peter Dessauer. Next question.
Okay, thank you for that
Next,
thank you for that clarification.
Chair
Okay.
recognizes
Yes.
Mrs. Berta Mead Curry.
Okay, thank you, President Weiscover. Roberta McCurry. I have 2 challenges to the agenda, and I'd like to go over those 2 challenges to the agenda.
We're not even there yet.
That's why I'm doing
Yeah,
it
so
before
we're
you.
not at that point. Okay, we are not near there yet. So
Okay,
I'm
I'm sure
going
we're
to,
to enter it.
excuse me, I'm going to continue. We are not near that point. When we get there, then you can make your challenges. Okay. Until further notice, the Corporation of Harpers Ferry governing and deliberative bodies will hold meetings and/or hearings virtually via Zoom webinar, which provides for public participation during a public comment period when applicable and when posted on the agenda. Alternatively, the public may watch meetings by YouTube video live stream and listen by telephone. These options comply with the Open Governmental Meetings Act. The Zoom webinar link to participate in town meetings and/or hearings can be found on the meetings and events calendar at https://harpersferry.us/calendar.html. Visit this information for PDF for further information on how to view and participate in the town's virtual and/or meetings. Actually, I should have read that before the call to order. So the call to order has been issued, and we are now on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as requested?
I have a challenge. Thank
So
you.
moved.
The motion has been seconded. We're now voting on whether the discussion,
I have a
approval
discussion.
of the agenda.
Okay, so
The
Ms.
chair recognizes Roberta Mead Curry. Ms. Roberta Mead Curry.
Yes, thank you, President Weiscar. I have 2 challenges to the agenda. Challenge 1, the agenda item request I submitted for this evening's agenda, which I submitted by the deadline of July 13th noon, which was requested for a workshop for the applicate for an approximate 30 to 45 minutes so that we could discuss the format of the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Committee application and how we are to advertise for committee members. That was denied via email received from President Weiscover, so I am challenging that denial of the agenda item request on the following counts. 1, it was requested in the open discussion period during last month's meeting, June 22nd. There was no objections at that time. Second, the reason it was denied is because the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Committee doesn't exist. However, on the record, both at the Town Council meeting and the Planning Commission meeting, at the Town Council meeting on July 12th, President Weiscover said the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Committee does exist, and it's a committee member of 1, and that would be Roberta Mead Curry. Also on June 22nd, that was also confirmed with the same language that the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Committee does exist, and it's a committee member of 1. So the denial for the agenda item due to the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Committee doesn't exist is false. So again, may I state, failure to plan is a plan for failure. We have to move forward. Please, let's work together. The town council and planning commission need to agree to this workshop, to begin the application process, to set up an application, to begin the advertisement. We need to be proactive, and let's be ready. Let's go ahead and get that application ready. Let's go ahead and get that advertisement format ready. So I would like reconsideration of the agenda item, and I would like to know if any other planning commission members would like to join me in this challenge.
All right, we have a
I'm not finished, I'm
motion
sorry.
and a second to.
No,
accept
sir,
the-
I'm
excuse me,
sorry. I'm
excuse
sorry.
me.
I'm sorry, I'm not
Rick,
finished,
You do not
President
have the
Weisgarber.
floor. You do
You
not
did
have
not
the
limit me
floor.
to a time.
You do
and
not
I-
have the floor.
I have not
Ms.
relinquished
Curry.
the floor.
Ms.
I
Floor,
have
Ms.
not
Curry, you
relinquished
do
the
not
floor.
have the floor. You do not at this time have the floor. I'm sorry, you do not have the floor. You can get it, but not now. I have the floor. All right, what we have in front of us is simply a motion and a second to approve the agenda. That is what is before us, and we are discussing it. Ms. Roberta Mead Curry has made some objections to that. Okay, the next person to speak in order would be Mr. Dill. Mr. Dill, the chair recognizes Mr. Dill.
I have 2 points,
No. excuse
Tim,
me,
and I
Mr.
can
Dill.
speak to
Excuse
them
me.
separately.
Excuse me for interrupting you. Okay? Let us try to make 1 point at a time, because there may be other people after you, and you in effect are taking up their time. So 1 point at a time, please. The chair
That's-
recognizes Mr. Dill for 1 point.
I would like to move that the agenda item that Roberta was referring to is added to our next meeting's agenda.
That motion is out of order because we're considering another motion. So the next person to have their hand up, we're in discussion. We're not moving anything. Discussion, Eving, we'll take the
Okay,
vote.
so
Yes.
Mr. Owens has his hand up, and
I did not see it. I don't see an
Yeah,
icon.
just-
Mr. Owens, are you able to work your icon? Or are you on a phone?
I'm on a phone, Mr.
Okay, so you
Weisgarber.
can't work your icon. Okay, the chair recognizes Mr. George Owens. Mr. Owens.
Thanks a lot, Tim. I would like to say that we should vote to not approve this evening's agenda, and then move on to motions to amend it.
I'll
Mr.
second.
J-
Mr.
Mr.
Dill,
J.
the chair recognizes Mr. Dill.
Did you want to call for a second before I get to my second point?
I don't know what
No,
you're talking about, Mr. Dill. We
Mr.
already
Dill, I
have a
believe-
second. We already have a second.
I believe we're still in discussion.
For discussion, that's right. So we have a second, Mr. Dill.
Are you talking
chair
about the second to
recognizes- I'll
approve
take
the
it that that's-
agenda?
I take it that
Okay.
that's
I
your
have one
question.
other,
I'll move
and
on
one
to the
other
next
item on the
question.
agenda.
I'll move on
One
to
other
the
item
next
for tonight's
question.
agenda,
Excuse me.
please, sir.
I'll take it that that was your question. Your question is answered. I'll move on to the next person with their hand up. Ms. Roberta Mead Curry, the chair recognizes you. Chair recognizes Ms. Roberta Mead Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Weisgarber. I'd like to amend the motion to include for the workshop be added to next month's agenda item, and if that agenda, that meeting cannot take place in August, then a special meeting is scheduled to handle that workshop.
I'm
So
not
there,
sure what, I'm not, at this point, I'm not sure what you're saying.
there were some
I'm
technical
amending the
difficulties,
motion that was
Roberta.
seconded.
There were some technical difficulties, so I don't know what you're saying, Ms. Mead Curry.
I'll repeat myself. I make a,
You can't make a motion right now. We're in the midst of.
Okay,
We already
so-
have a motion and a second to
Okay.
approve the agenda.
The
It's a
President-
discussion. It's a discussion, Ms. Mead Curry. You
Okay,
can't
wait a
make a
minute.
motion right now.
President Weiscarver,
Okay,
just,
yes,
Roberta dropped off and she's just popped back on again.
Okay.
And just so you're aware, Mr. Jenkins has been raising his hand as well.
okay.
So Roberta, are you back with us? Can you hear okay?
yes, I am back with you and I can hear.
Okay,
Did you hear
May
what
I
I said?
continue?
Okay. Ms. Mead Curry, did you hear my response to you?
No, sir, I did
We're
not.
not going to entertain that motion right now. Okay, we're in the midst of a motion and a second. The chair
I'm amending the
recognizes-
motion,
The
sir.
chair recognizes Mr. Jim Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Jenkins, you're
Yes.
muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay.
You have the
Um,
floor.
a committee of one is an oxymoron. It does not exist. And at the last council meeting, both the mayor and every member of council indicated that there was no committee. And there's no urgency to do the comprehensive plan quickly. We want to do it correctly. We want to involve all the stakeholders. And nobody feels there's a rush. We want to do it well.
Thank you. Let me say something about this. Right now, we're trying to get the agenda up and going. Okay? The concerns about whether there is a committee or not, they aren't on the agenda right now. And but there's a place where we can talk about that, I believe, after I give my report, but not until. So we're back to, again, we are back to approving the agenda as stated. Mr. Dill, the chair recognizes Mr. Dill.
Thank you. This is Ken. I'd like to recommend that items B4 and BA be changed in sequence because I think the document to be discussed in 4A is dependent on approval of 4B.
I'm trying to make sense of what you're saying. That the tree grant, you say, depends upon the approval of 4B?
The way I read the tree grant, it assumes a number of hours for the.
No, I think that's a separate, I believe that's a separate issue.
Okay.
But entirely, but Mr. Mayhew may be able to clear that up for us, but I do not think that affects the order
Okay,
at all.
thank you.
I think the order is fine. Ms. Roberta Mead Curry, the chair
Yes.
recognizes Ms. Roberta Mead Curry.
Yes, thank you, President Weisgar. I have a challenge number 2 to the agenda. Again, I challenge the agenda as submitted and the agenda request I submitted to the president met the deadline of July 13th, 2021, which was a request that the 2022 comprehensive plan report be continued on the agenda. Again, moving forward, again, the request was denied in an email from President Weiscarver on July 14th. And again, this similar argument is that on 2 separate occasions, President Weiscarver presented to the town council and to this planning commission that the planning 2022 comprehensive plan committee does exist and it's a committee of one. And so therefore, the 2022 comprehensive plan report should continue to go on the monthly agenda as a standing item. We need to continue to work together. We need to continue to move this effort forward. And basically, I believe that the comprehensive plan can be the tool that brings us all back together to work together. Yes, it is for all residents. It is for all organizations. It is for all stakeholders. And we are to work together because we are empowered and we are authorized by the town to make this happen. I would love for us to work together as a cohesive unit to form and to develop a set of collective goals to have Harper's Ferry move forward on their update to the comprehensive plan. Let's get Harper's Ferry ready for the next 10, 20, 50 years. The clock is ticking and there is an urgency, but let's be proactive. Let's be ready. If we are to be the planning commission that we're going to be, let's be ready. So I would like to make a motion that agenda item request goes on the next meeting, August, of this planning commission. And if that meeting cannot take place, then a special meeting is scheduled to make that happen. And I would like to be joined by any fellow commission members that agree with me in this challenge.
All right, Ms. B. Curry, there's not going to be a motion. We're voting on, we're approving the agenda. You can raise your concerns later. I'm going to call the question. We've spent way too much time on this. We need to approve the agenda and move forward. So I'm going to call a question. I'm going to end debate and discussion, and I'm going to call the question being the approval of the agenda for this evening. All right, so we have a
Point of
motion
Robert's
and a
rules.
second. And Mr. Jenkins, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Roberta B. Curry,
Can you repeat the motion, please?
To adopt the agenda as approved.
No.
Mr. Owens,
No.
Mr. Dill,
No.
Mr. Weiscarver,
Aye.
and Mr. Jenkins votes aye.
Okay, that's 3-2. So the motion does not carry, and we're back to approving the agenda.
Question on Robert's rules, President Weiscarver. I have to have a hand raised.
Yeah, there are, President
I'm
Weiscarver,
thinking. I'm thinking. The chair recognizes Mr. Owens.
Hi there. We seem to be at a procedural or a process crossroads. I think that's the only thing dividing us here. How you mentioned, and I'd like to engage you on that. You're more knowledgeable in this than I am. You mentioned that objections to the agenda go at a different time than the approval of the agenda. What is that process to your understanding? When do objections get treated?
That's a good question, and I'm not certain, but I do know this, that the approval of the agenda is the first thing that we have to do. And if we are unable to do, I don't know what happens if we are unable to have an agenda that's approved. And right now we don't have that. And so I'm not sure what you're proposing to do, but that's.
Well, I have a,
excuse me. The chair recognizes Ms. Roberta B. Curry.
Yes, thank you, President Weiscarver. I think, we are going under the assumption that we are to challenge the agenda before it is approved based on the education Ken Sayer gave us when we do have agenda item requests that were denied. So
Okay,
I am
Ms.
posing those challenges at the
Okay.
beginning of the meeting, as I think is the proper place to do that.
Right.
I'm not trying to be disruptive. I am
Right.
following procedure.
Of course,
Thank
you're
you.
not trying to be disruptive. No, I wasn't suggesting that. No, but I think that's wrong. That's not what he said. And that to insert a new agenda item that has been denied is illegal.
No, sir, I'm not trying to.
Excuse me. I have the floor.
Mhm.
All right. That is to say, if I understand you, you sent 2 agenda requests, actually 3 to me, all of which were denied with reasons. Okay, so those agenda requests are denied. Now, what Mr. Sayer said was that they could not be put on the agenda, period. they could not be put on the agenda, but they could be asked to be put on the agenda for the next meeting, not this meeting. And if you think if your characterization of that Mr. Sayers said that, I would like you to show me exactly where he said that, or where the law is, where the claim that an agenda item previously denied can be put on the agenda.
May I reply to that question, sir?
No, you may not, because it's not your turn.
And Mr. President Wise Carver,
Yes.
so this is Debbie.
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins has had his hand up, as
Okay.
well as Mr. Owens and Mr. Dill as well. I just wanted to make sure you were.
Okay, so I will try like this. Mr. Jenkins will be first, Mr. Owens second, Mr. Dill third, and Ms. Roberta Mead Curry fourth. Is that the order, Ms. Kelly?
I think so.
Okay, the chair recognizes Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Weiss Carver, colleagues, the town council at the last meeting made it very, very, very precisely clear that there is no committee for comprehensive plan. They also made it very, very crystal clear that there's no urgency in moving forward with the comprehensive plan, and the wish of the town council is to do the comprehensive plan well and not rush it.
Chair recognizes Ms. Kelly. Is Mr. Owens precede Mr. Dill, or
Yes, sir.
Mr. Owens?
Thank you
Chair
very much,
recognizes
Mr. Weiss
Mr.
Carver.
Owens.
I watched the town council meeting last time, Mr. Jenkins, and there was no vote of any sort, of any kind, much less what you're maintaining. There is nothing official till there's a vote and a motion and by the council. So far, we have only two guidances to go by, a March.
Excuse me.
Mr. Weiss Carver, I'll leave off in that and just say this.
Yes, okay,
I
we're
believe
getting off topic here. We're getting
I'm
off the
sorry.
topic.
You're
Okay?
quite right.
We're
My
getting off
apologies.
the topic. We
I'm on
want to get
topic
the
now.
agenda. We want to approve the
And so
agenda.
here's the agenda.
Excuse
Here's my
me,
agenda.
excuse me. We're getting off topic here. You're talking about something that we have yet to talk about, okay?
Sure.
We need to get the agenda up and going through, okay? That's where we are right now.
Let
Okay,
me
but
speak
there's
to
no
that topic.
motion. All right, Mr. Dill, next.
Let me
Chair
speak to that
recognizes
topic.
Mr. Dill.
Thank you, Tim. I'd like to refer back to what you were saying just a couple minutes ago when you were describing your understanding of what Mr. Sayer said about the agenda. What I believe is being proposed is not to add an agenda to tonight's meeting, but to add an agenda for the next meeting, which is exactly what you described.
Thank you for that. I completely misunderstood. I am under the impression that Ms. Roberta Mead Curry moved to put the agenda items that were requested on tonight's agenda. Well,
Okay,
let me just continue. Ms. Roberta Mead Curry submitted 3 agenda requests, all 3 of which were denied with reasons. Now, they can be put on next, they can be put on the agenda for the next meeting, but not on tonight's meeting, period. That cannot happen, will not happen, okay? And the place for that is not right now. Okay, the place for that is not right now because we need to conduct our business. And if we can't follow the agenda, we're unable to conduct our business. So I'm not sure if so. Mr. Dill, am I right in saying that your understanding is different than Ms. Roberta Mead Curry's, because Mr. Dill nowhere did he say that you could insert agenda requests into the meeting at the same meeting? Is that your understanding of his?
It's,
Well,
yeah,
let me
I
put it
think
this
the
way.
3 of
Let
us
me
are on
put
the
it this
same.
way. Let me put it this way. If that is the purpose, you need to show me exactly where He said that. Not your opinion of what he said, but where. And I know he did not say that. Okay, Ms. Roberta Me Curry.
Yes, thank you,
The chair
President
recognizes
Wise.
Ms. Roberta Me Curry.
Thank you, President Wise Carver, Roberta Me Curry.
You're breaking up.
As you were,
You're
can you
breaking
hear
up.
me? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
yes,
Please
you can. The
acknowledge.
chair, continue.
Thank you. Thank you. If you would have let me finish my challenge, and if you would have listened to what I was asking for in my challenge, I understand completely what Ken Sayer told us on 5/18 in our meeting with him. And I believe he explicitly told us how to go about a challenge. And I understand that the challenge is to be presented, and we understand that the items are not being requested to be placed on this evening's meeting. They are requesting to be placed on next month's meeting, with the condition that if next month's meeting does not happen for some reason because of the urgency of these two items, so we can be ready as a planning commission working together, that there is a special meeting called to also to take care of these two agenda items. That is what I am challenging, these two requests, and that is understood that we are not trying to add them to tonight's agenda, but to next August meeting, regular meeting. And if that meeting does not take place, it is a scheduled special meeting will take place. Thank you.
All right, I think I understand what you're saying, and I take issue with a lot of what you said, but I don't want to get into it. I'd like to get the agenda up and running. So,
President
Mr. Wise
Weiscarver, President Weiscarver, I believe Mr. Jenkins is trying to raise his hand.
Mr. Jenkins, sorry.
Mr. Wise Carver, we have some time-sensitive issues as far as the tree committee on the agenda tonight. It's 7:33. And I would hope we can work together to get these motions to council so the tree committee can do its work.
I agree. All right, so here's what I think we'll try this so we can get the business going. The in section 5, where it says discussion and other business, at that point, we'll entertain the challenges to not this agenda, but you're challenging the denial of the agenda requests, and you want them to appear on the next agenda. So I'm going to put those in the first item in section 5, where you can bring those up, and at that point we can talk about it and what to do, and then that way we can get to the report and to our business, and you will have ample time to do that. So
I think
I think that I'm just going to move on here and get the tree report from Mr. Mayhew, if that's acceptable.
So,
Otherwise, we're not going anywhere. We are going nowhere.
President
until we-
Weiscarver, I believe.
Until we start with the tree committee annual report. That's the first item of business. That's where we're going to start, and we aren't going any further.
President Weiscarver, I believe that Mr. Owens has his hand up.
Yes, Mr. Owens. Chair recognizes Mr. Owens.
Thank you. I like your suggestion, Tim. And-
Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Bernie Curry.
And sir, I'm still speaking. What I'd like your suggestion to be that on section 5, we have discussion and action on the challenges to the agenda denials.
Okay, I'm going to deny that because that's an action motion and discussion and other reasons isn't. Ms. Roberta Me Curry, the chair recognizes you for 1 minute.
Yes, I believe we need a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I did not make a motion. I believe we do need a motion
I
to.
make a motion, we accept the agenda as.
I second it.
stated.
Who
Okay,
made, sorry,
I
excuse
second
me,
it.
please,
I
please, I'm the
second the motion.
secretary.
Let's take a vote.
I'm the secretary. Who made the
I'm
motion,
taking- The
please?
motion has been approved and seconded to approve the agenda as, tonight's agenda as stated. Okay, Mr. Jenkins, will you take the roll?
Mr. Weiss Carver,
Mr. Jenkins, will you take the roll?
Mr. Weiss Carver,
Yes. Mr.
Mrs.
Jenkins,
Roberta B.
the chair
Curry.
recognizes Mr. Jenkins.
I'm calling the roll, Tim.
Okay,
Mrs. Roberta B. Curry,
May I have who made the motion, please? First and seconded. I'm trying to record the meeting as a secretary.
Mr. Jenkins made the motion. The chair recognize, I'll take, the chair has the floor. Mr. Jenkins made the motion to adopt the agenda as stated. I
amended.
seconded the motion. We are now going to call the roll. Mr. Jenkins, call the roll, please.
Miss Owens,
Yes,
Mr. Dill,
Yes.
Mrs. Roberta B. Curry,
Yes,
Mr. Weiss Carver,
Aye.
Mr. Jenkins votes aye.
All right. The agenda is approved as stated. President's announcements, having none, I'm going to go to the section 2, the reports. The Tree Committee Annual Report for 2020, which is PDF number 4. I just want to make one comment before we start. One of the, I think, hidden gems of the Planning Commission is the Tree Committee. The Tree Committee is consists of Mr. Tyler Mayhew, who's the president here with us tonight, Miss Christy Huddle, Mr. Robert Preston, Mr. Ken Kosa, and Mr. Jim Jenkins. And this is an extraordinary committee. They are the website that they've designed is beautiful. They're actually our subcommittee. They are extremely hardworking and deserve our support in every way, I think. And although this is my own personal opinion, I feel that whatever the Tree Committee wants, we give it to them because they are an extraordinary group of people and they're working very hard. And so that's my sort of editorial bias here. And now I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Tyler Mayhew, who is the president of the Tree Committee, and I'm sorry, the chairman of the Tree Committee. And he is going to speak on the annual report of the Tree Committee. Mr. Mayhew, the chair recognizes Mr. Tyler Mayhew.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, folks. I'm going to just read to you our report here. So this is a recap for what we did in 2020. So last year there were 7 street trees that were removed, 4 of them by the Tree Committee's contractor, 1 of them by Potomac Edison at our committee's request, and 2 of them were removed. Actually, the work was paid for by Christian Pechakonis as a donation. We also planted 4 new street trees last year. As we always do, we completed and obtained approval for our designation as Tree City USA. Last year was our 12th year participating in that program. We also obtained, as we do every year, a matching grant from the West Virginia Division of Forestry, total amount of $3,290. All of the work on that grant has been completed, and we're closing that grant out soon. We submitted 2 years ago, actually, some proposed changes to the tree plan and standards document to the Planning Commission. That has not been acted on, to my knowledge. And then there's a couple items that we were going to request from this committee from planning and the town council to consider. First is that we'd like the town council to include the tree committee on discussions on locations for new parking meters and parking areas on Fillmore Street. There's places where there are no curbs in those locations. It's possible that the street trees in that area could be damaged depending upon where people are allowed to park and how close to the trees. We'd like the town to take over some of the mulching responsibilities. So, for whenever we plant a new street tree, those trees need to be mulched twice a year to keep back growth. Christy Huddle and Robert have been generous in their time and labor in doing that. But we'd like the town maintenance folks to be able to take that over. Additionally, another item we need to alert the town council about, we did a survey of the trees located in the paper streets in town. Some of those trees pose a risk to adjoining properties. And so, we think that those may pose risks here in the future from disease and insects and such, and may need to be addressed by the town at some point. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayhew. I have a question. Where you're saying that you're going to go before the town council to make some of these requests, presumably, are you going to do that sort of on your own, or because what I was imagining was something like the following, that when we finish the business here of the tree committee, that what we accomplished will be presented to the next town council meeting for things that they have to approve.
Yeah, so, we're an advisory sub-body to this group.
Right.
So these are,
Right.
we filter
Right.
things up the ladder from,
Right.
we're
Yeah,
sort
well,
of
we-
the low
yes.
folks on the
And
the
so we
list.
would like to present those to the town council.
Sure.
the
So
very
these are our recommendations that we're
Right,
bringing up.
exactly, for approval. That's right. Okay, so we'll
Mr.
figure out a
Westphal, my
way to
hand
get
is up.
that. We'll figure out a way to get that.
So, President Wisecover, I believe Mr. Jenkins has been raising his hand and Ms. Roberta Mead Curry has her hand up. And we are 5 minutes outside of 45 minutes for your information.
Mr. Jenkins, for 1 minute.
I'd like to commend Mr. Mayhew and the tree committee for what they've done. And I would like them to forward their recommendations to town council. And I would encourage town council members to vote positively, that they've done a nice job for our town and they need to be encouraged.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Roberta Mead Curry for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Wisecover. Is it my understanding then that if the tree committee is under us, then they are supposed to make recommendations to the planning commission, and then the planning commission takes their recommendations forward to town council? Is that what you just said? And there's someone from the planning commission members to make that presentation?
That is partially, that is not quite correct. Okay, so this is a report. The report's finished. and we're going to go on to the president's report, 2B. That's me. The presentation, the briefing that I gave the town council on July 12th. I gave the town council a briefing on July 12th, where the planning commission is now and where the comprehensive plan is now. That was essentially my briefing. There was discussion after that. And the discussion after that by the members of the town council made the following points that are, in effect, their instructions to us. So here are their instructions to the planning commission. Okay, the 2022 comprehensive plan is on hold, period. There is no 2022 comprehensive plan committee, period. End of discussion. The town council has only approved Roberta Mead Curry, Miss Roberta Mead Curry, to form a comprehensive plan committee. So there is no committee, there is no committee of one, period. For that to even begin to go through the process, there has to be first a public involvement in the process. With respect to time, the timeliness, the town council made it crystal clear that time is not the issue, that we are not to be disturbed by concerns about our being behind. We are not behind. We are not behind in any way, shape, and form, and those should not influence the comprehensive plan process. Okay, so so right now, the situation is that there is no comprehensive plan committee, period. And you must understand that, despite whatever you may think, whatever you want to quote, there isn't any. All right. Now, essentially, we are instructed to go back and start completely over, completely from ground one, zero, with one event in place. That event is the appointment of Miss Roberta Mead Curry to form a comprehensive plan committee, which has yet to be formed. There is none. To form that committee, subject to the approval of the planning commission and then subject to approval of the town council. That's exactly where we are. That's one of the reasons why nothing from that has anything to do with the comprehensive plan can appear on this agenda, period. That's why, because of the instructions of the town council. Very clear. There's no ambiguity whatsoever. You need only go watch the video of the meeting to see that. The town recorder said that there is no comprehensive plan committee, period. It's illegal. It does not exist. I can't impress upon you the importance of understanding that, because I think some of you aren't realizing that. Okay, that's the end of my report.
President
Right now,
Weiss.
we've consumed, excuse me, we have consumed an enormous amount of time and we have some business to proceed, and I'm going to move on to the business. Okay?
President Weiss.
The first
Weiss.
I'm sorry, but I'm ending, it's my report. The report is over and I'm moving on to the business.
Okay, this is Deb Kelly, President Weiss Carver, and
Yes.
so out of obligation to advise you that you have some raised hands, I
Right.
just want to tell you that
I
Roberta
to
Mead
ignore the
Curry-
raised hands. You can make your points at the very end of the meeting, but right now we're going to move on to do the business of the planning commission. We want to do the business. You can do whatever you want. Mr. Owens, I see that your hand up. I'm not recognizing you. Ms. Roberta Mead Curry, I see your hand up. I'm not recognizing you. I'm moving on to old business and the proposed changes. You can bring your
Objection, point of
concerns
order.
up at the end of the meeting.
Objection. point
We're
of order.
moving to 3A, proposed changes to Article 1104 that would, 1, revise the duties of the tree committee, 2, would rename the tree specifications, and 3, eliminate the improvement. Do I have a motion to, on that score, Mr. Jenkins?
So moved.
Excuse me,
Can I move
I'm
the
looking for
motion?
I'm looking for the correct wording here. I've written it down. Okay. So the motion would be to recommend that the town council approve the proposed changes to Article 1104 of the tree conservation of the town code to revise the duties of the tree committee, rename the tree committee specifications and standard manuals, and eliminate the requirement for written notification of tree trimming in the public right of way when the tree originates on private property. That's the motion. Is there a second? I second it.
You have some hands raised.
Discussion.
Ms. Roberta Mead Curry and then Mr.
Okay,
Owens. I believe.
the motion is as I read. There's a second discussion. Ms. Roberta Mead Curry, 1 minute.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Weiskirch. I believe in our previous meeting, we discussed that item C of that 1104.08C would be eliminated because Jim Jenkins volunteered to step up and handle the notice part of it, and Christy Huddle agreed to that. And that part of the text was supposed to be removed because we had a member of the Planning Commission volunteering to do the notice. And so
That's incorrect. Excuse me for interrupting you, but that's incorrect and irrelevant in the case. We are not voting on item C. We are voting on item D. We have not eliminated C at all. It stands. The reason that C was included, was to show you what would happen if, the Part D was not changed. That is the owner of the tree that's on his property. It would be up to him to trim the tree, and he wouldn't be notified. He could just be somebody could come around and right now, if you pass this motion, what it means is that somebody like Ms. Huddle can trim the trees with an arborist at no expense to the property owner whatsoever. At no expense. Okay, if you do not pass that, then the prospect of C is what's going to happen. The liability for the property owner, it's on him to pay for it, as opposed to letting Ms. Huddle do it for free. And if he doesn't do it, he can be fined. Okay,
Can we hear from the tree committee?
That's the end. That's all I have to say about you. We got to keep the discussion. We got to move it along here. Mr. Dill, you recognize Chair. Were you next?
That was Mr. Owens.
Okay, Mr. Owen, you're recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. Discussion concerning the motion. I suggest that per the agenda, we vote separately on items 3A items 3A double I, and items 3A triple I, instead of all together. That's my suggestion. I suggest then that we vote down the motion as stated to vote 3A all together and vote on them separately.
Ms. Roberta
Chair
Mead Curry
recognizes
has,
who's next?
Ms.
the chair-
Roberta,
Chair recognizes Roberta Mead Curry for 1 minute.
and then
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins, I'm sorry.
Chair recognizes Ms. Roberta Mead Curry for 1 minute.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Weiskirch. Could you read the motion again? Because I think there's a gross misunderstanding what the motion is. Thank you.
Yes. All right. All right. Now, before I read the motion, in this discussion, Mr. Owens has suggested that the general motion, since it encompassed three items, three changes, that it be voted on, and that we go through change by change. That's what he suggested. So we are back to the original motion, which I'll read. And here it is. The motion would be to recommend that the town council approve the proposed changes to Article 1104, tree conservation of the town code, to revise the duties of the tree committee, rename the tree specifications and standard manual, and eliminate the required for written notification of tree trimming in the public right of way when the tree originates on private property. That motion has been
So
made
moved.
and seconded. Discussion is ended. Will Mr. Jenkins take the roll?
Mrs. Roberta B. Curry,
No.
Mr. Owens,
No,
Mr. Dill,
Nay.
Mr. Weiscarver,
Aye.
Mr. Jenkins votes aye. And my hand is up.
The motion does not carry. Mr. Jenkins, for 1 minute, the chair recognizes.
I fear that in this meeting, we have a very good committee that's doing good service to the town, and they're being obstructed, and they're not going to be able to continue their work. And I am very sad about that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not recognizing anybody right now. I just would like to make this one statement. I think what we can get something accomplished, even if we don't get everything, if we consider motions if we consider the changes one by one, and let's see if we can do that. And I agree with you entirely. We owe the tree committee. We owe the tree committee good governance, and they're not getting it. They're just getting a fight amongst us here. Okay, so let's try Mr. Owens' suggestion that we take the changes one by one, and I'll make a motion. And I'll make and let me make the motion. So in effect, the plan is to consider the proposed changes to Article 1104 one by one. Okay, so the motion to recommend that the town council approved the proposed changes to Article 1104, tree conservation of the town code, to revise the duties of the tree committee. That is 110404B. Is there a second?
I'd like to amend
I
the
second.
motion.
I
All in
second it.
favor? No discussion. All in favor? Okay, take the
Aye.
roll, please.
I'd like to amend the
Take the
motion.
roll, please. Mr. Jenkins, please take the roll.
Mr. Weiscarver,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins, aye. Mrs. Roberta B. Curry,
No.
Mr. Dill,
No.
Mr. Owens.
Aye,
Thank you.
Right, would you record that? And the motion carries on 1104, excuse me, item 3A, number 1, the revision of the duties of the tree committee. That goes to 2. The motion would be this: to recommend to the town council approve the proposed articles to change to Article 1104, tree conservation of the town code, renaming the tree specifications and standards manual, which would be which would be 110407A. 110407A. Is there a second?
I'd like to amend the motion.
Is
Second,
there a second?
second,
I'd like
Okay,
to have discussion.
discussion. 110407A, discussion and action. Let's keep it close. This is a slam dunk. Let's get it up and out of here. Okay, who's 1 minute? Roberta Me Curry, you're on for 1 minute.
Yes, I'd like to amend the motion to be more specific as how it is presented on the agenda. So the section, article, and section of the code is 1104.07 paren A.
Yes. That's what I said. Yes, there's no need to amend anything. That's the motion.
Not what you
Yes,
said.
that's exactly right. Thank you. Okay, so let's vote. Mr. Jenkins, will you take the roll?
Mrs. Roberta B. Curry,
No.
Mrs. Curry, Mr. Dill,
Aye.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Weiscarver,
Aye.
Mr. Jenkins votes aye.
The motion carries 4-1. We now come to 3A3, to eliminate the requirement for written notification of tree trimming in the public right-of-way when the tree originates on private property, which is 110408C.
Point.
110408C. You don't need to say the parentheses, but to satisfy Ms. Smee Curry, I'll put the parentheses in. They're not
And the
needed,
point,
but we'll
please.
put them in so we don't have to amend anything. All right, so on that one, excuse me, I just want to get to where I can look at it. Okay, so that would be item C, and that is essentially to eliminate the practice of written notification to the owner of the property on which the tree originates. The proposal is to eliminate that notification. And I'd like to ask, I think I understand it and can explain it, but I'm wondering if Mr. Mayhew, if you would be willing to explain the logic behind that, because I think some members have concerns about that. And I'm wondering if you might be able to sort of say, well, here's why it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm
Mr.
happy
May-
to. Just let me know.
Okay,
when
the
you would
chair
like one.
recognizes Mr. Mayhew.
Okay, thank you. So the reason why we've recommended that this be removed is twofold, but they both go to the ultimate issue that it's onerous and in some cases not realistically possible for the tree committee to actually comply with that. And the reason for that, there's two reasons. The first is, we're a body of volunteers, and we don't necessarily know who owns all of the different parcels of property in town. The second is the timing of the work when it's done isn't necessarily under our control. The vendor that helps us with doing the work under our grants, we don't control the days that they come out. We have a general idea of when the work is going to be done. It's typically less expensive for us to do that in the off season, so the fall and the winter. And it's also typically, a better price for us if they are able to just fit us in to their schedule. But there's other aspects of it too, things like weather, for example, that we don't have any control over, and staffing with the contractors. So we run into two issues. Number one is not necessarily knowing the exact date that the work's going to be done for purposes of notifying people, but the other one is, we may not know who to notify, and so that's a problem as well. The other thing I'll note is, we looked around at some of the other municipalities' ordinances, and as far as I know, we're the only municipality that has this, at least the ones we looked at, that has this requirement in their in our code. Shepherdstown, for example, doesn't have this notice requirement. So, there's no point in having a part of the statute if we can't comply with it. So That's the real issue. And so that's why we're asking that it be removed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayhew. I'm going to put a motion forward here.
Discussion, please.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, but that's the way it's going to be. I'd like to just say one other thing to what Mr. Mayhew added. Now I've forgotten it, but that's all right. Oh, yes. Remember that we are sending these as recommendations to the town council that they approve this. That's what we're doing. We are saying, hey, town council, we at the planning commission recommend that you adopt these, and of course, the planning commission could work its will. All right, so the motion would be to recommend that the town council approve the proposed changes to Article 1104 tree conservation of the town code to eliminate the requirement for written notification of tree trimming in the public right of way when the tree originates on private property. That would be Article 110408 paren C, close
Point of
paren.
order. Point of order.
Point of order.
Rules of order, please.
No.
Point of order.
Point of order. The chair recognizes Mr. Owens.
I wish to have brief discussion on this, sir. It was yielded on the other points, and I think it's only even-handed to do it on this.
The chair rules that the point of order is out of order and denied. Okay, that we're at the place where we have to vote. We have a motion before the floor that
So
was
moved.
stated. Mr. Jenkins, will you please take the roll on this vote?
Mr. Owens,
Nay.
Mr. Owens,
We're breaking up there, Jim. Can you repeat?
Mr. Owens, please. How do you vote?
Nay. No.
Mr. Dill,
No,
Mr. Dill,
no,
Mrs. Curry,
No,
Mr. Weiscarver,
Aye.
Mr. Jenkins votes aye.
The motion does not carry. We're now going to new business. The 2021 demonstration city tree grant proposal recommended for approval by the town commission. Discussion and action. We're looking at PDF number 5. This is the proposal that Ms. Huddle has written up, a grant. We, if I may editorialize, I will. We want to get this grant up to the town council so they can send it on the way so that we can get money as quick as possible. That's the idea behind this. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that the town council recommend that the town council approve the 2021 demonstration city tree grant proposal as submitted. Is there a second?
Second, so that the tree committee can do their work.
Discussion,
Okay,
please.
discussion. The
So
chair
I would like-
recognizes in order, I guess, Ms. Roberta Me Curry.
She's lowered her hand, so I think
Okay,
Mr. Owens
Mr.
is
George
next.
Owens. Mr. George
Yes.
Owens.
I would like to commend the tree committee and Ms. Huddle for all the work they do and put as many tools in their hands as are appropriate. And I thank you, everybody, very much for the work they've done in applying for this grant. Thank you.
Mr.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. Please try to keep your remarks germane to the issue. All right, we have a motion
Thank you, sir.
before the floor. It's been seconded. Mr. Jenkins, will you please call the roll for a vote?
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Dill,
aye,
Mrs. Curry,
aye.
Mr. Weiscarver,
Aye,
Mr. Jenkins votes aye.
the motion carries. Let's see, where are we now? Okay. 4B. This is a recommendation that the town council increase the budget of the town maintenance employee to allow for more hours and material to assist the tree committee in caring for the trees on town-owned land. Okay, the motion would be, I'd like to make a motion that the town council, that we recommend to the town council, they increase the budget of the town maintenance employee to allow for more hours and material to assist the tree committee in caring for trees on town-owned land. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion and action. Discussion. Ms. Reed Curry, 1 minute. Chair recognizes
you.
Ms. Reed Curry for 1 minute.
Thank you, President Wisecover. Just a quick question, as why is the Planning Commission approving a salary increase to a town employee? Why does that come through the Planning Commission? If you could clarify, please.
It's not doing that. I don't think it's approving a salary. It's asking for more money.
For the maintenance salary, maintenance person's salary. Why are we doing that?
No, it's not for the
Why-
maintenance person's salary. It has nothing to do with salary.
So, Mr.
Okay, so,
Mayhew has-
okay, the chair recognizes Mr. Mr. Mayhew, you have your hand up. Perhaps you can explain. Mr. Mayhew, thank you.
Yeah, let me just give a quick explanation. You know, the tree committee had made this same request to the town council in its annual report. And it did not, at that time, at least the town council either didn't take it up or did not approve it. So the reason why it is on your agenda tonight is just to see if the planning commission would also support that request and make that request to the town council in support of what we had previously asked.
Thank
And the
you.
reason, and the reasoning is, as I said earlier, a majority of the manual labor that our committee is doing is being done by Christy and Robert, you know, out of the goodness of their own hearts. But, you know, they're in their 70s. You know, they've got certain limitations on what they can do and how much work they can do, and would like, if possible, for the town to budget that and you know, into the town maintenance personnel, so that you know, responsibility can be shifted over to them. That's what we are asking for support for. But you're right, this isn't about approving that. It's simply asking the town council if they would.
Thank you very much. That helped a lot. Ms. Roberta Me Curry, the chair recognizes Ms. Roberta Me Curry for 1 minute.
Yes, thank you, Tyler, for that clarification. So my other question would be, should we really be asking for an increase to the Planning Commission's budget, our annual budget? Should we really be doing that with the tree committee underneath the Planning Commission and present the recommendation to town council in that venue, or that package it that way, that it's an increase to our Planning Commission's budget?
Thank you, Ms. Roberta. Are you asking me that question?
Anyone can answer, please.
No, they can't. I have to approve, they'll answer. Are you asking me the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's my understanding. I'll put it this way. The town council can completely ignore this request, but if we don't get it up there for their attention, it just postpones something that needs to be done. And they can answer questions. They can answer your questions. They can, you know, I'm sure they will, when that presentation is made, that they will ask questions about it. And I would say, with regard to our own budget is opaque, to say the least, and that would, if we do as you suggest, it will simply delay something for no good reason. And we want to support this tree committee, and we want to get this request up to the town council in hopes that they will approve some extra help for Christy Huddle and Robert Preston, who are doing the work and are in their 70s and volunteers. That's the idea behind it.
So,
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I'm going to end the discussion. Mr. Jenkins, will you take the roll?
Mrs. Curry. Mrs. Curry.
Yes.
Mrs. Curry.
Yes.
Mr. Dill,
Aye.
Mr. Owen,
Aye.
Mr. Weiscarver,
Aye,
Mr. Jenkins votes aye.
the motion carries 5-0. Mr. Mayhew, I've got good news for you. I think.
Am I off the hook for the rest of the
I
evening?
think you are. I think you are. I think you can. Thank you very much for bearing with us we don't have any more tree business and you're free to go. We got most of it done. Whoops, you left. Okay. So
Okay, thank you, folks. Have a good
Thank you,
evening.
Mr. Owen,
yeah,
Mr.
thank
Mayhew.
you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We're now
So,
at item C.
President Weiscarver, I just wanted to advise you that I just found an email from Mr. Petrikunis, who had difficulty getting in, and he has just now joined the meeting.
Oh, thank you. Ms. Kelly, is he there or? Christian, are you
Yeah, I'm
there?
here. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
okay, thank you.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Hello, yeah, we're almost at the very end of our business.
Okay,
here.
I just wanted to add, I know you voted all on that issue for our maintenance person to do some additional duties. I can tell you that the Budget and Finance Committee is working on this issue already. I'm glad you passed it, but I just wanted to make you aware that the Budget and Finance Committee is working on it, and we'll be making a recommendation shortly to the town council.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Christian.
Sorry, I
the
couldn't
next-
get on earlier.
The next item on the agenda, 4C, minutes of the Planning Commission discussion only. I'm the one that put that on there. And I'd like to limit the discussion to 5 minutes. Really, the issue was that I put on there was having to do with what the minutes of a meeting in Harpers Ferry should be. So I'd like to say that in taking the minutes, I guess in the past, it's been pretty loose as to how you do it. We haven't paid much attention, but times have changed and I'm paying a lot of attention to the minutes. And they need to be filled out according to Robert's Rules of Order. And that the central proposition of filling out the minutes, the central guideline governing Robert's Rules of Order and the character of the minutes is that the minutes should reflect actions only, period. Actions only, no editorializing, no byways, actions only. In the West Virginia Ethics Commission's part of the website, there's an example of what the minutes look like for the Ethics Commission of a particular meeting. There are several examples that you can see, but essentially the motto is you record the actions only, that is the motions only, and know what people said. And that was my contribution to that part of the discussion. So this is a discussion. I'm going to time it for 5 minutes.
Miss Roberta Mee Curry has her hand raised.
Hey, Ms. Roberta Mee Curry.
Yes,
Chair
thank you.
recognizes you.
Thank you, President Weiscarver. Since I'm the secretary of this planning commission, I would like to request a workshop to discuss how this format is to be, and because I'm the one producing the documents. So if you could set up a workshop so that all of us can see the documents that you're referencing, all of us can see the code sections you're referencing, and we get a good template, because again, we're following the template that was given to us by town council and by the recorder, and that's the template we are using. There has been no motion on the floor to change anything otherwise, and there's been no objections to the format of the meetings. So presented, so approved, and so recorded. So please, since I'm the secretary and have to do the work, please schedule a workshop for all of us to attend so that we know how to do this going forward. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you, Ms. Roberta Mee Curry, but the issue is not the form of the the template. That's not the issue. It's how the minutes are written. And as I said, the overarching guideline is to record what happened, not what people said. And the minutes as presented, aside from other numerous mistakes, had that problem. That is, there was, I don't know how to describe it other than a sort of editorializing. With regard to your quest for a workshop, we're not taking any action right now. I don't think we need a workshop. I think you are an experienced professional, that you should be able to look at the minutes and Robert's Rules of Order and follow them. And that's we don't need a workshop for that. I think you can figure that out yourself. You have some experience, but you have to follow Robert's Rules of Order. And even if you find an example from another committee of minutes that did not follow Robert's Rules of Order, that is not an excuse for us not to. And so that's where I am with respect to that. Does anybody have anything more? Okay, so I'm going to end discussion on it's a discussion only on the minutes. Ms. Roberta Mead Curry, the chair recognizes you for 1 minute.
Yes, thank you, President Weisgarber. Please send me the documents and the Robert's Rules of Order pages you're referencing, so I do have them, and then also the code section and anything else that you want me to follow, please. That would save time. And if you could email them to me, and I would be certainly happy for you and I to have telephone conversations back and forth on how to resolve the meeting minute issues. Thank you.
Mr. Jenkins has his hand raised.
Mr. Jenkins.
I would like to thank the Planning Commission for making it possible for the tree committee to do their work. Congratulations, folks.
Thank you. All right, that ends new business, and we're now on to section 5, discussion and other business. Now, let me be very clear. Okay, I'm going to follow strictly the rules that that you cannot speak unless you have the floor. I will recognize you, and you may speak, but you also may not say, I've got 5 things to say, and then go off the 5. You got to do them one at a time. All right. And remember, there is no motions or actions coming out of this period here. None. Now you can request that I'll just say that. And the chair, me, will entertain 0 motions. Okay, having said that, let's time it at, it's getting late. Let's time it at 10 minutes. All right, please try and keep your remarks concise. Ms. Kelly, do you have an order there?
Sure, Ms. Roberta Mead Curry and then Mr. Owens.
Okay, Ms. Roberta Mead Curry, you have your hand up. The chair recognizes Ms. Roberta Mead Curry.
Again, this will be my
1 minute.
first hand. This will be my first hand raise, so I will raise my hand again for a second item. Again, as previously stated, I challenge the agenda item denial request made for the agenda item for this evening of January 20th, which I submitted by the deadline of July 13th, and it was regarding the workshop for the application process and advertisement process. I requested a workshop to be for 30 to 45 minutes long, and I was sent an email from President Weisgarber to deny the agenda item based on that the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Committee does not exist. However, according and for the following reasons, I am posing this challenge. On June 22nd, 2021, and also on July 12th, 2021, President Weisgarber admitted and confirmed that there is a 2022 Comprehensive Plan Committee, and that is a committee of 1, that is me. So I am moving forward in making this request, and that is, it was not, to deny it on that account was false. I'm a committee member of one.
Okay,
Failure to,
thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me just say something back to you. Your characterization of what I said is completely wrong. Okay, so, and as I tried to make abundantly clear earlier on in the meeting, the town council, our superiors have made it crystal clear. There is no 2022 comprehensive plan committee, period. End of story. Whether I said there was, which I didn't, or not, or whether you said there was one and didn't, or whether previous people, town councils said there was or not, is completely irrelevant. They didn't, but it's completely irrelevant. This town council says there is no 2022 comprehensive plan committee, period. So, Ms. Mead Curry, if you submit those agenda requests like you did before, they're automatically rejected because you don't have anything that exists. Now you can submit them to your heart's content. Nobody's preventing you from submitting any agenda request, but I can tell you that they're going to be rejected because of the very thing that I said. I'm sorry to have to tell you that, but that is the judgment, the will of your superiors, namely the town council. Crystal clear, no doubt about it. Okay, next, anybody, Mr. George Owens, for 1 minute.
Yes, I'm going to comment on the president's report on the July 12th meeting of the town council. Mr. Weiscarver, let me make it clear first off that my goal for the comprehensive plan and on my hope for involvement was to try and end divisions in this town. I'm not going to try and refute what you had to say there point by point, the inaccuracies of your presentation. However, I'm going to say that the divisiveness you voiced is not in the future of our town. Your behavior there was grossly inappropriate. I found that you gave a report to the town council that represented the planning commission, represented the planning commission's report without the knowledge or approval of the content by members that I have talked to, namely myself, Rabira Mead Curry, Ken Dill, or Mr. Petrokonis. Denied knowledge of what you had to say. You also misrepresented certain actions of planning commissioners. I'm not going to get into that here. We don't have the time because of what you have to say. And finally,
Your 1
also,
minute is up,
you conflated roles for planning commissioners that defamed them in front of the town council and in front of the general public, defamed them. Now, I really hope
You've gone past a
the
minute.
leadership of this town
You've gone past a minute.
puts
Mr.
us
Owens.
together.
Could you speed it up,
puts
please?
us
Thank you.
together and not tears us apart. And I really am gravely disappointed in the machinations of your actions at that meeting.
Well,
End of this comment.
indeed.
Mr. Jenkins had his hand up and then Ms. Curry again.
Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. Weiscarver is precisely accurate. Again, there is no comprehensive plan committee. There is no urgency to accomplish the comprehensive plan. And this comes from town council. So our discussions are moot. They mean nothing.
Thank you. I'm not going to bother to respond to you, Mr. Owens. Most of what you said is not true. But at this point, there's no point. I stand by everything that I said to the town council. They asked me to make a report and I gave it to them. I didn't have to consult you at all. It was my report, period.
It
Nobody
was
saw it
the
but me. I'm
planning
the only
commission's
person
report,
that saw
sir.
that report
It
and
was the
nobody's
planning
entitled to see it.
commission's
And you are
report.
not entitled to see it. It's my
It's
report.
very
They asked me to
unfortunate.
do it. Okay, end of discussion. All right, does somebody have anything more?
Mr.
Mr. Dill, the chair recognizes Mr. Dill. For
Thank
1
you.
minute.
I'd also like to comment on the presentation you made to the town council. I think it was misuse of time, disappointing, disturbing, divisive,
Right.
waste of 30 minutes of everyone's
Right.
time.
Right.
The story suggested that there were these two non-existent imaginary political parties. You suggested I was a member of one of those parties. You defined the party as being opposition to the hotel, but I've never said any such thing, I don't think. So I'd just say, with respect to that opposition party, it's an imaginary thing. I'm a real person. So I'll just ask you one rhetorical question. Am I now, or have I ever been, a member of the opposition party?
Thank you. Ms. Roberta B. Curry, you have your hand up? We can't hear you, Ms. Roberta B. Curry.
Yes, and I have one more point after this hand raised, so I would like to raise my hand
I
one more
thought you
time.
said this was the last one.
I'm sorry, I changed my mind.
Okay, fine.
So,
All right. The chair recognizes Ms. Roberta B. Curry for an extra point.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a second challenge to the agenda item this evening. There was an agenda item that I submitted on the for the agenda for this evening, and it met the deadline of July 13th, and it was denied approval to be set on the agenda, and it was denied because the Comprehensive Plan Committee doesn't exist, that the town council has put the planning commission on hold. And however, two counts of July 12th and on June 22nd, the president of the planning commission said there was a planning commission, that there was a 2022 comprehensive plan committee, and that committee is a member of one, and that would be me.
We can't hear you, Ms. Roberta B. Curry. Could you finish up, please? You've exhausted your minute here.
I'm trying, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Testing,
Yes, but
testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
I think that we can hear you, but your vision,
Okay.
your hand is still up. And your
Okay, I'm still
vision is-
talking. Thank you.
So it's possible that you're frozen. I don't know.
No, can you hear
Okay.
me? 1,
Yes,
2, 3,
I can hear
testing.
you. Yes.
Okay, so again, I'd like this planning commission to understand their role and to understand the importance of the planning commission and the comprehensive plan. We are late. We have missed the deadline for 2017, and we're about to miss the deadline for.
We've lost your
We've
connection.
lost you, Ms.
Curry.
Curry.
She's dropping. Okay, so wait a minute. All right, a couple of things have happened. So I think we've lost her momentarily, and also Mr. Dessauer left the meeting. I believe Mr. Jenkins had his.
How much time, how far are we now, Ms. Kelly?
Oh,
I would
we're-
like to have my time
there she
reinstated,
is.
please.
Excuse
There
me,
she
just a
is.
minute,
Like to
just
have
a
my
minute,
time
please, Ms.
reinstated.
Curry. I'll get right back to you. How far are we along there, Ms. Kelly?
It's 8:34.
So we're an hour and a half. Okay. Ms. Curry, Roberta B. Curry. Look, let's not prolong this much more. You've said what you had to say for the most part. Nothing is going to come out other than you can resubmit those requests. That's fine. That's your prerogative. I'm not going to rebut all the, I'll call them ridiculous things that you're saying, but in any case, let's try and wind it up. Ms. Roberta B. Curry, the chair recognizes you. You were interrupted. You can start all over if you want. But let's try and wind it up, okay?
Roberta,
She's gone.
I don't see you anymore, and you're, oh, there you are. Okay,
Yeah.
and-
Okay,
and-
Ms.
but you're still muted. Can you unmute, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ms. Curry, you were interrupted. And so, this is, you can start all over if you want, but this is going to wrap it up. So say what you have to say and be merciful.
I would like to.
Curry, the chair
give-
recognizes Ms. Roberta B. Curry.
Yes, this is my third point. Again,
Excuse
I'm
me,
going to
let me
also,
interrupt, please. Excuse me, I mean to interrupt. We don't know what the second one is. that's what I mean, I hate to think that there's a third, but okay, but we're not clear on the second because you were interrupted, Ms. Curry. So we missed your second point, and I know you want to make that point. And so that's what I was saying to you. So don't go on to the third point until you've completely finished your second point and what you wanted to say, and please try to do it quickly. Thank you. Mr. Chair recognizes Ms. Roberta Curry for point number 2.
I thank you, Ms. Weiscarver, for giving me that opportunity. I challenge the agenda item submitted for the comprehensive plan, 2022 comprehensive plan report to be added as a standing item on the agenda. Whether the comprehensive plan committee exists or not, or whether I am a committee of one, we still need to move forward with our duty as a comprehensive plan agent. We are responsible for the comprehensive plan. So I would like to continue that the comprehensive plan 2022 committee report to be placed on the agenda as a standing item. And I challenge the denial of this for the counts mentioned previously, that on 2 counts in front of 10 council and in front of the planning commission, the president did confirm that there was a 2022 comprehensive plan committee and a committee of one. That would be me. And I would welcome any other committee member to support me in this challenge. Again, we're trying to come together to bring this town together for all residents, for all stakeholders, for all organizations.
Okay, thank you
We are
very much. Thank you
obligated-
very much. Thank you very much. You're perfectly, you can submit the agenda, those 2 agenda requests. No problem. We'll submit them for the next meeting. Okay, there being,
So-
point number 3. No point number 3. Mr. Bernabe Curry,
Yes, there is a point. Yes,
is there not a point number 3?
yes, there is.
Yeah, is there going to be a point number 4, 5, 6, 7? Point 3, will that do it?
Yes, sir, and I don't appreciate the
Okay,
disrespect.
thank you. Thank you. Ms. Roberta Curry, the chair recognizes you for point number 3, 1 minute.
Thank you, President Weiscover. I too have listened to July 12th meeting minutes, and your comments made to the town council took this planning commissioner by surprise. I ask that these, if I am understanding the role of this planning commission collectively, in order to approve any comments presented to the town council as a group, that this body, this deliberative body must approve those comments or reports going forward to the town council. This was not done. I ask that these disruptive personal opinions cease immediately. I ask that we show a collective, cohesive planning commission going forward. I would ask that you work together with me and your fellow planning commissioners. If you do not understand a document that I have produced, that I am presenting for review, or any of your planning commissioners have done that, please give us a call. Ask for our intent. Ask for our interpretation. Please cease any personal assumptions and interpretations until you have consulted and verified with your fellow planning commissioner on what was intended by the documents presented. So please, I am very disappointed. And yes, you have defamed me in public, and I'm very hurt by what had happened. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry you're hurt. I told the truth. My presentation to the town council, there is no place that you can show me that I need your approval to brief the town council when they ask me for my opinion. I do not have to run that by anybody. Okay, so I don't know where you're getting that. You might find it. I know you can't find it in statute, but you should, if that's what you're saying. And I forget I was going to say to your other point. Oh yes, look, as evidence tonight, right in front of us, the planning commission is dysfunctional. Period. You can see it right tonight. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna move to adjourn. Is there the business of the planning commission having been complete, the agenda having been complete? Is there a move to adjourn the committee?
So moved.
Is there I second it. Would you take the roll, please?
Mrs. Roberta B. Curry. Mrs. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
No,
See, they're having a fight.
Mr.
over-
Dill.
They won't even end the meeting.
Aye.
excuse
Haven't you
me.
been in the meeting? Whoever.
Mr.
Excuse me, you're out of
Weiscarver,
order.
That was out of.
Christian, who are you talking to? Who else is in the room with you?
Mr. Dill,
Mr.
Excuse me.
Weiscarver.
Mr. Dill, you must refrain from questions like that to anybody in this committee. You do not have the floor. We are in the midst of a vote. You must not do that.
I voted.
Okay, we are in the midst of a vote. Mr. Jenkins, there seems to be a problem for adjournment. There seems to be a problem with taking the vote to adjourn. Okay, I'm not sure where we are. There's some interference, but we are now voting on whether to adjourn the meeting or not. Okay, so Mr. Jenkins, would you start by taking the roll for adjourning this meeting?
Mrs. Curry,
Yes.
Mr.
I-
Dill,
Excuse me, I could not hear her vote
she said yes,
to adjourn. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
yes. Mr. Dill,
Yes.
Mr. Owen,
Yes,
Mr.
I vote
Weiscarver,
yes. I vote yes.
and Mr. Jenkins votes yes.
Hey, the meeting, the planning commission is hereby adjourned. Thank you.
is Mr.
Thank you. Good
Petroconis
night.
voting? Is Mr. Petroconis voting?
The meeting is adjourned.
I can't
night.
vote.
Oh,
Good night. Thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you very much.
No.